Today's video, I am going to explain why nutrition is the most important thing for your body. Both physical nutrition, mental nutrition, how the foods you consume affect your body as a whole. And this year, I've learned so much from nutrition. So I want to share with you guys my advice for people seeking better nutrition. And for me, losing weight started when I started tracking my calories. I downloaded a fitness app where I could track my calories, and I'd have to log every single food item I consumed into my log to track the calories. And what the app does is it forces you to set a daily calorie limit for that day. It takes into account your height, your age, your weight, gender, etc. And it calculates your estimated calorie intake. So for somebody in my height, I set it to like 2,400 calories a day. But at the beginning of the year, when I wanted to lose the weight that I lost, which was over 30 pounds, I reduced that total down to 2,000 calories. So I had to follow a much more strict routine. And anytime I went over that limit, I would exercise to burn off the excess calories, just so I could maintain consistency and keep my mark. So after 5 months of doing this, I lost 30 pounds. And before I did this, I struggled to lose weight. I was wondering why the scale was staying the same despite eating less. And then I realized that the problem was the calorie density of the foods I consumed. I would consume processed foods, fast food. I work at a fast food type of job where a lot of the food we serve is fried food. So I would eat food from the fryer, which was high in salt, high in fat and calories, and it didn't feel like it was filling me up, so I would eat more, and that's why I didn't lose the weight. Even though my body didn't feel like it was eating much, I realized that the problem was the calorie density of the foods I consumed. So I started to make it my mission to buy more foods from home and try to avoid fried food as much as possible. I would make salads with grilled chicken, lettuce, and I would cover it with sauces like hot sauce that didn't have a lot of calories in it but could still make it tasty. And I would use small amounts of sauce. And that really started to work for me because it was me finding a way to have a diet that's healthy but still filled with tasty foods. And I think grilled chicken was a good one. Blue cheese is another good one if you wanted to follow a keto diet. And pepper jack cheese, bacon. It really depends. For a while there, I think it was like a couple weeks during my weight loss journey, I did follow a keto diet, but I realized that it didn't make me feel that good. I didn't have a lot of energy from starting it, so I just went back to my normal calorie deficit diet. But the point here is that you need to substitute higher calorie foods for lower calorie options. So that could be substituting bread for keto bread. Even if you're not on keto, you're still consuming less calories. If you're ordering coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, you should brew your own coffee from home and use oat milk instead, because oat milk has a lot less calories, a lot less sugar, and it can still provide a similar taste to half and half, which is way more calories. Oat milk has 90 calories a cup, and if you use it in your coffee, let's say you use like 0.2 cups, right, the normal amount of creamer you put, you're probably getting only like 15 to 20 calories. And with the coffee that doesn't have any calories, that's basically substituting for a healthy drink. So what I do now is I've already hit my goal weight, so it's just maintaining my physical fitness. And the other thing that I've done was go for runs. This is what I've also done on the side for losing weight. And I would go on daily runs, and I would try to go faster, go further. I participated in a 5K last month, so I'm trying to compete a little more as well. But my main thing is just going for runs and hitting my mark consistently. And when you work out and when you do physical exercises, it doesn't have to be intense physical exercise. It could just be daily walks. But when you do that on a consistent basis, your body will naturally burn more calories, both passively and actively, because you are moving and your body's metabolism is spiking as a result of the increased energy production from your body, your increased energy output. So, especially when you're working out, muscle burns more calories than fat. And this segues into my other point of consuming as much protein as possible. So, I buy zero sugar yogurt from the grocery store, and I have this organic protein powder called Flave City, which has like banana powder and other natural ingredients. You can look up the brand. It's got like 180 to 220 calories a serving, depending on the flavor. And if you mix it with the protein powder, or if you mix the protein powder with the yogurt, it can really give you a dessert-like snack that's got, or a meal that's got like 40 grams of protein. And then if you add something like oats, I use like the oats overnight packets. I apply that to the mix and I just refrigerate it overnight. It can really give you a high protein, delicious dessert-like breakfast. And if you want to add more fiber, you can add fruits to it as well. But I use Olipop sodas as my source of fiber, and that really works, especially if you're going to bed. It helps with your digestion, and I like to do that, and that's also helped with my journey so far. So that's really to explain my nutritional journey. And now at work, I still do consume fried foods from time to time, but I also know to moderate it, and I try to eat as much organic food as possible. I try to avoid high salty foods, high fat foods, or at least I'm consciously aware enough of what I'm consuming to see that, okay, this is high in fat, so it's going to have more calories. But the main thing here is burning more calories than what you're consuming, and eating high calorie foods and calorie dense foods will make it harder for you to maintain a calorie goal, because you're going to be still hungry if you're eating a food that's not if it's calorie dense and it's very small in portion size, you're still going to feel hungry. Your body's going to feel like it didn't consume anything. So you have to eat foods that will fill you up so you don't have cravings later. And that's what I had to learn, right? The salads that I ate with the lettuce and the grilled chicken, that really filled me up a lot more, right? I would fill a box, a cardboard box, like a to-go box, with the salad, and it was only like 500 calories versus like a half pound of wings with boneless fried chicken cutlets. That was also the same amount of calories, actually more, but it wouldn't even fill up the container a quarter of the way, and I'd still end up snacking later. But the main thing is, and this is something that I can't put into people, but just being disciplined with your diet as a whole. And being disciplined with your diet is important. You need to have that sort of conviction of, I don't want to look like this anymore. I am trying to look like this so I can look like this. And it's really important to have that feeling, to have that fire burning within you, because if you're not disciplined and you're not serious about it, you're going to relapse, and you have to be patient with the journey. You can have a strict deficit, but you have to also be convicted to go and achieve your body goal, right? You have to be willing to hit your marks consistently. And that's the hard part about it. The process of doing so, I wouldn't say is necessarily difficult if you have a good enough reason to do it and you have that conviction. But if you're just like trying to achieve results to show off to people and post on social media, you're probably not going to succeed. And even if you do, you're more likely to relapse because you're not doing it for the right enough reasons. You're not doing it for yourself. And that's who you should be doing it for. should always be doing these sort of things for yourself. So that's sort of my guide to how my fitness and nutrition this year has helped me. It started more in the fall, but I really took it seriously at the beginning of this year, running when it's cold, and just doing things like that whenever I can. And there's different ways of doing it. There's different ways that you can make it work. But for me, I wanted to try to find foods that I enjoy eating, so I wasn't eating a bunch of vegetables or forcing myself to eat a bunch of foods that I didn't necessarily enjoy. But you also need to be disciplined, and you need to sometimes force yourself to eat things that you don't like, because the greater goal requires to make these sort of sacrifices. So that's sort of my take here. Eat less calories. Find foods that are lower in calorie density, and that could be doing research. And I don't think that you should be afraid of investing a little bit more money into your body. So buying foods that are strictly for the purpose of hitting your macros, like supplements online, or buying something for the purpose of like consuming a certain macro, like fiber or protein. Even if the food is not designed to be a workout supplement, you can still buy that food anyway if it involves hitting your mark in something else. So if you want to hit a protein goal, buy chicken. If you want a fiber goal, you can buy vegetables, or you can buy something like a Olipop soda that's higher in fiber, that's more prebiotic. So I think it's important to understand nutrition, understand what you're putting into your body, because that is really important. And nutrition isn't just in food, it's in the stuff you consume online, what you watch, what you feed yourself, right? The food has an effect on your body, but so does everything else. So you need to really be mindful and watch what you're watching, watch what you're eating, watch what's going into your eyes, your mind, your body. Because the moment you realize that what you're doing is toxic, that's when you feel better, when you distance yourself from it. Because you see a problem, you see an error in the code, and you're like, I gotta fix this. So that's how you have to see nutrition. So if you don't walk a lot, if you're not active, go for a walk. Download that nutrition app to help hold yourself accountable. And last but not least, just eat protein, and it's fine to cheat every once in a while, but don't do it too much, because you're going to end up consuming more calories than you intended, and that's going to hurt your journey. So I really hope that you received some insight from this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.